Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends, guys. Welcome back to r/entitled people, where people truly believe that they can do whatever the heck they want, whenever they want, because the world revolves around them. And in this episode, a Karen accuses OP of stealing her truck, and she calls 911 when OP bought it fair and square. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's stories. Hit subscribe if you haven't, and as always, you can send or link your stories to this email right here. Okay, so a few years ago, I was on a flight from London to Sydney when an older woman, who's maybe 70 years old, suddenly collapsed in the aisle. The flight attendants rush over to her and check her pulse and determines that she doesn't have one, and commences CPR. Of course, people are standing up to see what's happening, and a few people do start to film. At this point, the flight crew have brought out a defibrillator, and have had to remove the woman's shirt to use it on her. Myself and a few other people tried to stand around them to block the view and to give the poor woman some dignity in this horrible moment. The flight crew is naturally panicking, but remaining professional. One flight attendant's asking people to stop filming, and the closest person next to me was Karen. The woman had her hand moving at all angles, shoving her arm between the attendants to try to get some footage of the poor woman on the floor. That's when I snatched her phone out of her hands and called her a disrespectful C-word. And she instantly starts screeching that I had assaulted her and stolen her phone. The flight attendants weren't paying attention to what she was saying, as they clearly had more important things to focus on. The Karen then grabs the flight attendant who was assisting with first aid by the arm, and told them that I had stolen her phone. I didn't want to cause any more drama for the poor flight attendant, so I threw Karen's phone down on her seat. The lady collapsed shortly before we landed, so once we landed, we had to wait on the plane while ambulance crew boarded, and eventually took her off the flight. While we were waiting, Karen actually had the audacity to say, "Can we get off the damn plane or what? I want to go home. I've had a long flight and I'm tired." Luckily for me, someone else was sick of her because they told her to shove her complaints right up her behind. I wish I'd thrown her phone out of the plane if I could have. Yeah, so forget about throwing the phone out of the plane. How about throwing Karen out of the plane? Guys, it makes me so mad when people feel the need to film stuff like this just to share it on social media. Like, imagine coping with the loss of a family member, and then all of a sudden, one day on Facebook, you see a video of them with the caption saying, "Oh my goodness, someone died on my flight. I'm so traumatized." And the nerve of that woman to complain about it taking so long to get off the plane because she's had a long flight. Some freaking people, I tell ya. Alright. So let me tell you about my entitled boss and the time he almost killed me. I'm allergic to hand sanitizer, alcohol wipes, and generally anything that has alcohol in it. I can't even drink this stuff without my lips swelling. So my old boss was my cousin, and my cousin got promoted and transferred to a new office. And that's when our new boss enters and COVID. With that, we get a new mass email going over the new safety procedures. And one of the new procedures is that we all have to use hand sanitizer and antiseptic wipes. And I sent an email to HR telling them about my allergies with medical documents. HR sends an email back saying that I don't have to use the hand sanitizer or the wipes, and that they'll put it in my file. However, when I sent that exact email to my new boss, he replied saying that all employees have to follow the new COVID safety procedures, with no exceptions. Now, when I replied that if I use those products, I'll need medical assistance, he then sends me another email saying that if any employee doesn't follow the safety procedures correctly, that they would be fired. That's when I sent copies of the emails to our union rep and the HR department, to which they replied that they would talk to him and kind of told me to just ignore him unless he actually tries to fire me. So I go into work and my new boss is literally waiting for me at my desk with a bottle of hand sanitizer in his hands, asking me to hold out my hands. Now, seeing him do that, I replied, "No thanks, I'd rather not go to the hospital today." My boss, hearing that, got mad at me, and he literally grabs my hands and squirts sanitizer on it, and then rubbed it in. He then says, "See, that wasn't so bad, was it?" Now, of course, when he did that, I freaked out. I tried to go to the bathroom to wash it off, but the guy blocks me. And what do you know? I had a really bad allergic reaction. My boss at this point was panicking, and he kept saying that he thought I was lying, and kept saying that until I was put into the ambulance. A member of the HR department and the legal department came to visit me in the hospital, and informed me that he was fired. The woman from the HR department also said that they called police on my behalf, and that I should be getting a visit from them soon. I can't talk about that as it's an ongoing investigation. I'm also in Australia, so no medical fees. And I'm also not happy about the EpiPen, as they are expensive. Also, the cops won't tell me anything. They did tell me that he's been ordered to stay away from me though, so he must be out of jail if he's ordered to stay away, right? I'm still in the hospital, hoping to be released today or tomorrow the latest. I'll update when I get more information. Yeah, so this post is almost a year old with no friggin' update, guys, so who knows what ended up happening. And seriously, I don't know what's up with some people and not believing someone when they say they're allergic to something. And what makes things worse is he tried to block OP from going to the bathroom to wash it off, guys. Like, that idiot boss needs to be jailed. And everyone in the comments is suggesting that OP lawyer up and to sue the crap out of the ex-boss and the company for failing to protect OP. But guys, let me know what you would do if you were in OP's shoes. Personally, I think if that were me, I'd be swinging my fist as soon as he squirted sanitizer on my hands, because technically that's self-defense, right? Okay, so some background is necessary for the story. I'm a 70-year-old female with silvery gray hair and an adventurous spirit. Since I gave up backpacking, one of my favorite pastimes is car camping out of my SUV. Now, this isn't RVing with a big motorhome or satellite dish TV and microwave. It's more like backpacking on wheels. I sleep in my car and I'm fully self-contained and off the grid. My favorite places to camp are in US national forests. No amenities, just nature. On this day, I just had to get out of the city for a quick overnight. So I packed up some food, water, and the book I was reading, gave my destination and expected return information to a neighbor, and then headed for the mountains. It was late morning when I arrived at one of my favorite places, and due to it being close to the city and easily accessible by road, this large area was popular and well used. But it was a weekday, so there was only a few other campers. I chose a spot far away from them and set up camp. 2 chairs, as there's no need to advertise that I'm solo. A folding table, kitchen box, water jug, and a tall, skinny green tent. Now, these small tents are advertised as changing tents or shower tents, but I use mine for my camping toilet, which is a 3-gallon bucket with a toilet seat, lined with a plastic bag and scented kitty litter. Satisfied with my work, I loaded up a water bottle and some snacks into my day pack, and drove out for a short hike around a nearby lake. When I returned, the first thing I noticed was the zipper on the flap of my green tent was down and the flap was dangling open. I had a trespasser. That's when I scooped up an armful of pine cones and threw several at the side of the tent, screaming, "Hey, come out of there right now, you're trespassing, get out." There was no response, so I threw a few more pine cones and screamed, "Get your ass off my toilet and out of my tent right now." A long minute passed and then a tall trespasser emerged, tucking in his shirt. The guy was well over 6 feet tall, and did I mention that I'm only 5'4"? That's when the guy says to me, "Hey, calm down, lady." I tell him I will not calm down. How would you feel if someone broke into your house and used your bathroom? The guy says to me again, "Look, lady, this is public land and I'm a member of the public, so I can use anything on the land that I want to." I say to him, "Wrong, numbnuts. The land is public, but these things here on the land are my private property. So you're not only being a creep and a trespasser, but you're guilty of breaking and entering." The man says to me, "Well, you know what they say, if you build it, they will come." The guy finishes zipping up with a flourish and says, "Oh, and you're out of toilet paper." Now, hearing him say that, I've never been so angry. I actually thought about throwing the rest of my pine cones at his back, but I had a better idea. If you build it, they will come. So if I unbuild it, they won't come. I have a small kit to use inside the SUV to pee at night, so losing the tent for one night was not a trip killer. So I took the tent down and order was restored. The sky was blue, the sun was warm, and the air was scented with pine. I could still enjoy my day of relaxation in the mountains. So I take my book and settled into my comfy camp chair. I was so engrossed in the mystery novel that I didn't even hear her approach until the dreaded "excuse me." And there she was, too much makeup, too short of shorts, and treacherous 3-inch high wedge sandals. The woman says to me, "My husband said the bathroom was right here." I tell her, "Your husband's an idiot." Karen says, "He said the bathroom was right here, so where is it?" I tell her, It was here, and then it's not here now. I took it down." Karen says, "Well, put it back. I really need to go." I refuse, and that's when she says, "You put the bathroom back or I will call the park ranger and have you arrested for destruction of government property." I say to Karen, first, this isn't a park. Second, I doubt there's a forest ranger within 50 miles of here. Third, there's some nice government-issued bushes right over there. Only, you have to dig a hole and take your used toilet paper home with you. She then made a noise with a gurgle and a growl and tottered off, yelling, "Honey, She took away the bathroom. You come here right now and make her put back the bathroom. And I'm thinking, okay, now that was a trip killer. I had no desire to encounter tall trespasser again, especially if he was angry. Usually, breaking camp is a precise and organized operation, but this time I just throw everything back into my SUV, stuffing things anywhere they would fit. 4 minutes flat, and I was safely locked inside of my car. The dirt road out of the area went right by tall trespasser's campsite, and he flipped the bird as I drove by. I didn't see Karen anywhere, but there was a luxurious stand of trees and bushes right behind their big white tent. Guys, I'll never understand how some people just think it's okay to use other people's property without asking. And the fact that the wife actually got upset and tried to get her husband to come and force OP to put back up her bathroom and then threatened to get the park ranger is so super duper entitled. And I'm glad OP got out of there safe and sound. The state I live in has crazy entitled people pretty much everywhere. So this crap doesn't surprise me at all since I've seen it enough times in my life to be indifferent to it. But it's amusing to talk about. In 2020, I lost my home in a wildfire, and I was only left with whatever I could pack up in a Ford Focus during the evacuation. I was renting a basement apartment in a country house, and most of my stuff went up in flames. I realized that my car may get good gas mileage, but it's not gonna hold a lot of stuff, or tow anything. My landlord evacuated his family in a big GMC truck with a fifth-wheel trailer. He had everything he needed, from emergency food to backup vehicles, and his wife drove another truck out fully loaded with a trailer full of their stuff. They had everything they needed to survive and more. Now, this made me realize that I need to be better prepared. I had to couch surf for a while, and I could never stay in one place for long because I was a guest and not a tenant. So I ended up living out of a tent in a field with several other people who lost their homes to the fires. It was like a tent village set up by the local charity. The shelters were beyond full, and it's a warm climate, so tents were the next best way to go considering the situation at the time. I managed to get a used but decent sized tent and basically furnished it like any tiny apartment with a cot, small table, and some chairs. I even housed a poker night in it a few times. I was still going to work almost every day, and even volunteering for extra shifts. I was saving money since I wasn't paying rent living the tent life. I made up my mind to keep saving to one day buy a truck of my own. Because if this situation with the wildfires or some other disaster happened again, I need to be better prepared. So move on to just a few months ago. I put down a year's worth of savings to buy a used Chevy Silverado 1500 with a canopy already on it. It's got a few dents and a big diagonal scratch across the hood, and the paint is a bit weather worn. I bought it off a man who looked to be in his 50s that said he had a bad back and can't use it anymore. The guy gave me a steal of a deal when I came by to get it, dropping the price by $1,000 because he felt I was clearly in love with it. And I am. I'm very happy with the truck. Now, let's go to what happened a few weeks after I bought the truck. I was out in the same area I bought the truck in to look at a used camp trailer that I was possibly interested in buying. As I was leaving after dinner, I noticed a woman who looked to be somewhere in her 40s looking over my truck. I asked the lady what she was doing poking around my truck, and she gave me a side glare while demanding to know where I got it. I said to her that I just bought it a few weeks prior, and that's when she rushed up to me and said that I didn't buy it, but I stole it from her. I told the woman no, I purchased it from the title owner, so that makes it mine. The lady then rifled through her purse to pull out a smartphone, and she scrolls through it. She then shows me a photo of a truck. I looked at the truck in the picture, and I'll be a monkey's uncle. It was the same truck. The license plate and the scratch on the hood was clearly visible, and there was also a man in the photo, the same guy that sold me the truck. When I acknowledged this, the crazy lady starts yelling, see, that's my truck," and demand that I return it to her. It was at this point she holds out her hands for my keys and kept saying to give it back because it's hers. I told her I bought the Silverado fair and square off the guy in the photo, and that it's my truck now, but the woman didn't let up. That's when she went and sat on my bumper and she called the police. The woman was heavily exaggerating while talking to the operator, or dispatcher, or whatever they call the person on the line when you call 911. I'm not sure. She refused to get off my truck, so I decided to just wait for police to show up. When police got there, I stayed completely calm. But the crazy lady goes off and starts working up tears, saying that her truck went missing some time ago and she finally found it. The woman then demands they arrest me for Grand Theft Auto and to get her truck back. I just calmly unlock the doors, get my insurance card, registration, and license to hand it to the officers. I told them to just check my documents and they would see that I'm the legal owner. But the crazy lady doesn't stop. She runs to the door of the truck I opened, but I relock it before I shut it. The woman tries to pull on the handle while telling police to just arrest me already so she can have her truck back. That's when one of the officers calms the lady down while the other ran my information. He comes back a few minutes later, says everything checks out and that I'm the owner of the truck. And the lady was gobsmacked. She said it can't be, and she demanded the police check once again. She then pulls her phone out to show more pictures of the truck. I then point out that the man in the photos was the one that sold the truck to me. And I have no idea what relation the crazy lady is to him, but he's the only person I bought the truck from. The police asked her who it was, and she said that was her soon-to-be ex-husband. They were going through a divorce. I then pointed out when I bought the truck that her husband's name was the only one on the title. The crazy lady then yells at me that he bought the truck for her, and it was missing one day when she came home. Now, all I could do was shrug and say I didn't know that, but her husband was the legal owner before me, and I bought the truck from him. The police told her that I was correct, that it's legally my truck now, and that's when the lady goes from crazy to just really sad, and she cried saying it was her truck and he sold it without her permission. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I did feel sorry for the woman and said to the police that they may want to do a wellness check on her or something. They then say I was free to go and they would handle the situation from there. When I was getting ready to leave, the crazy lady yelled that she was gonna follow me to find out where I live so she could take her truck back. But the two officers didn't let her. I left the parking lot and hightailed it on the highway out of there. I later contacted the guy who sold me the truck and he admitted that the crazy lady is soon to be his ex-wife. The guy tells me that they're going through a divorce because she cheated on him multiple times and that was the final nail in the coffin for their marriage. The truck was always in his name only, and the woman had signed a prenup when they married, so the divorce was not going in her favor. It's been a few months now and the lady hasn't found me again, so I'm probably in the clear as long as I avoid the area that I bought the truck in. Though for all I know, she's not even living there anymore since her husband divorced her. So at first I did kind of feel bad for the woman as well, because I truly thought the ex-husband was just spiteful and sold the truck he bought her. But then I read the second last paragraph that said that she cheated on her husband multiple times, and any sympathy I had for her just went out the window. So here's some context. When I was 11 years old, my mom was 8 months pregnant with my little brother. Her live-in boyfriend was super entitled and a massive waste of DNA, and usually took his frustration out on me, but he thought I was at Mima's that day, helping her with housework. So the a-hole got home at about 8 or 9 p.m. and he was in a bad mood for some reason. My mom was going to see what's going on and asked him to stop shouting because the last time the neighbors came over due to the noise volume, and she didn't want to have to explain that once again that her boyfriend was crazy. Now honestly, I didn't blame her. She's pregnant, her feet hurt, and she was in the hospital for kidney stones like 3 days before this happened. So she's tired and she's frustrated. Apparently the a-hole decided that he felt he needed to be mad at her and started shouting obscenities at my mom, which led to me grabbing the baseball bat that I kept under my bed, sneaking closer and closer to hear. Well, right as I got within range, I see his hand fly up, and I've seen that gesture before. He was aiming to whack my pregnant mom, so my first reaction was to swing the bat right into his leg as hard as I could. He goes down and I give him a few more whacks. My mother then calls 911, which resulted in a cop car and an ambulance. And the cops came and asked what happened as they loaded the man into the ambulance, and he tried to say that I assaulted him unprompted. And this was when Mima came to the rescue and she interjected that 1, I've never hit someone without being hit first, and 2, the a-hole and my mom were constantly fighting. And she said they could ask the neighbors who verified the statement. When the cops then asked why I hit him so hard that it broke his knee, I stated he was gonna hit my mom and she had a baby in there. I didn't want the baby hurt, so I hurt him first and made sure he wouldn't do it again. My mom agreed to press charges for assault, child endangerment, and abuse. Now, I didn't go to the court cases because I was a kid, and everyone agreed not to bring in children if it was avoidable. Later, I found out that he was only allowed weekend visitation at my mom's convenience, and he had to pay for child support. A few years later, he got himself arrested for some reason, and he had his visitation rights revoked by the court. So yeah, don't attack my mom and don't mess with my little brother. My family will ruin you. Nothing was more gratifying than knowing that this man can no longer see his only child because he thought he could get away with being an abusive dick. Wow, so listen guys, I don't condone violence on this channel at all, but in this case, when an 11-year-old comes to his mom and his little brother's rescue with a freaking bat, I'm not gonna say I enjoyed reading that OP whacked the guy hard enough to break his knee, but I'm not gonna say that I didn't enjoy reading that the guy got what he deserved. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our / entitled people. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's stories. If you did, hit that thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on these wacky stories. And if you guys missed the last episode on the channel, it's an r/petty revenge, where a Karen family won't stop trespassing on OP's property, and they get taught a lesson that they won't forget. Guys, go check it out if you haven't. And myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.